Baik.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahilladzi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haqq liyudhhirahu 'ala ad-dini kullih wa kafa billahi shahida. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan 'abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma shalli 'ala Muhammad wa 'ala ali Muhammad kama shallaita 'ala Ibrahim wa 'ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik 'ala Muhammad wa 'ala ali Muhammad kama barakta 'ala Ibrahim wa 'ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna 'ilma. Subhanaka Allahumma la 'ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal 'alimul hakim. Allahumma arhamna bil Qur'an waj'alil Qur'ana hujjatan lana wa la hujjatan 'alaina. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, welcome again to the Tuhfatul Atfal course. This is our second session, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khair for brothers and sisters who have attended early, sisters in upstairs, brothers here, and some brothers online, brother Andre, brother Denny, brother Firman, brother sorry, I need to scroll down. Yeah, brother Indra, brother Ifan, and other sisters. Inshallah, we will continue the session today. We'll start with, inshallah, we'll touch on the Muqaddimah, and maybe also we'll touch the first rule that will be covered in Tuhfatul al-Atfal. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send blessings and salutations upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah to bless Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his entire household, his companions, and we ask Allah to bless us all. Amin ya rabbal alamin. And we hope you and your family are well. Just normal as per last session, just housekeeping. If you haven't hear any sound, make sure you are click the join audio. And for any brothers, sisters who are in the Zoom, you can ask question anytime. Just feel free to put on the chat, and inshallah I'll take a look occasionally on the chat window. And for sisters upstairs as well, for sisters on the upstairs, if you want to ask over the chat, you can join the Zoom, but maybe not the audio, or you can ask for Sister Poppy upstairs. You can let her know the question, or you can also text the question on the sisters group, and inshallah she will help to forward the question to the Zoom chat so I can read on it. And the copy of presentation, inshallah, will be made available on the YouTube and on the Google Drive. If you're on the group, the links are on the group description and also on the YouTube, inshallah. So before we start, let's set an intention that all that we were going to do here is for the sake of Allah's pleasure, and hopefully this is a way for us to get closer to the words of Allah. And just want to mention one hadith that we have shared on in the group and on the email. An Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, from Abdullah bin Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him. Yaqul, he reported, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, Rasulullah SAW said, من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله به حسنة. Whoever reads, whoever recites one letter from Kitabullah, from the Quran, for uh, for him, for her is one hasana, one good deed. والحسن والحسنة بعشر أمثالها, and uh, and that one good deed multiplied by 10. And لا أقول ألف لام لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف, but I do not say, Rasulullah SAW do not say that Alif Lam Mim is one letter, like in the Surah Al-Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim is not one letter. ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف. But Alif one letter, Lam one letter, and Mim one letter. That means 3 times 10, 30. MashaAllah. Maybe we can imagine if we read the Quran, maybe just one page, how many letters that we have recite. So we discussed last session that yes, in terms of like obligatory, so maybe I need to reword that I explained on last session. In terms of obligatory, that we have obligation to do a salah 5 times, to do Ramadan, Saum. Yes, there's no, in terms of obligatory, we don't have like a specific numbers, how many times we should recite the Quran, how many, how long, how many times per day, and so on. But we have an obligation to follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions radiallahu anhum ajma'in, and they never leave the Quran even for one day. So and in terms of amal, whatever we do, it's Allah that we will be answerable into. So if we want to do more amal, the options could be like do a Saum Sunnah, or do a Sunnah Salat. But maybe if we can think how many times we can do Sunnah Saum, for example, in this during spring or summer, or even Sunnah Salat, how many we can do per day. But reading the Quran is one of, or reciting the Quran is one of the most easier ibadah according to ulama, because of the multiple rewards that we get. Allahu a'lam. That's just a brief on the hadith. Inshallah, we'll share one hadith per in every session. So we like to motivate our amal, so we can do more in terms of reciting the Quran and eventually learning the tajweed. And inshallah, this will be the agenda. Review the Mabadi al-Ashrah, Mabadi al-Ashrah, which means, anyone remember? It's the 10 foundational principles. Al-Mabadi al-Ashrah, the 10 foundational principles. Then finally we'll touch the Muqaddimah, the Tuhfatul Atfal, the introduction. So we'll take a look what is covered on the introduction, and then we'll follow by the first rule, inshallah ta'ala. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to put on the chat window anytime. Inshallah, I'll take a look at it. And jazakumullah khair for asking the questions, Brother Ivan and Brother Musti, and the sisters. Keep them coming. So just a quick one on the Al-Mabadi al-Ashra. There are 10 foundational principles, but if we like summarize just to get the gist, the summary, basically the first one is the definition, al-haddu, the definition. The definition is tajweed is to إخراج, to bring out, to articulate, to bring out, to articulate every Arabic letter, to bring out, to articulate every Arabic letter from their proper makhraj or articulation points. That's one, from makhraj or articulation points. And that's why in Tajweed always discuss about makhraj and giving the permanent characteristics, or in Tajweed is called Sifatul Haqq. If you have heard about Hams, Shiddah, Rakhwa, that's a Sifatul Huruf or Sifatul Haqq, permanent characteristics. No matter how the letters in the front, in the back, or in the middle, it will have that characteristics, and three temporary characteristics, or sifatul mustahab, which we will going to cover that in Tuhfatul Atfal, such as Izhar, idgham, iqlab, ikhfa, and so on, and mad, and so on. And the benefit, uh, next is the benefit is to prevent the tongue from mistakes or from lahan. If anyone maybe still remember how many lahan that we have discussed, there are two. Yeah.
So,
There are two lahan, lahan al-jali, or the obvious mistakes, the mistakes that may change the meaning. And it's very important to get you especially Surat al-Fatiha, you you are free from lahan jali, and it's important for your salah. So maybe you can have a analysis, uh, uh, review your al-Fatiha recitation. And the second one is lahan khafi, or the hidden mistakes, hidden mistakes. And the other benefit will be to the tajweed is one of the science that preserve the Quran, and ultimately we want to attain the reward, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Tuhfat al-Atfal, we have discussed, is focuses on the temporary characteristics, which is like a 50% on nun, mim sakina, tanween, and the other 50% on mad. And the total of the verses or lines are 61 verses. And we discuss about the rulings. Uh, uh, when we recite the Quran, we must apply tajweed. And the things that are covered in tajweed, basically according to the definition itself, makhraj, sifatul huruf, and ahkam tajweed, or the rulings, and lastly the riyadatul lisan, or the practice of our lisan, of our tongue. That's a quick review of al-mabadi al-ashra. If you have any question on that, feel free to ask. Even if we have moved on to different topics, feel free to ask previous topics, or if it's on upcoming topics, I can explain briefly, and the details will be on the specific session. Inshallah, that's Mabadi al-Ashra. Then we will touch on the al-Muqaddimah. Al-Muqaddimah. So before we touch the book, or actually before we read any book, normally the book has an intro, or which is the Muqaddimah. Now, what is the intro inside this book? What is covered in this book? So like, it actually covers things like what does the book start with, like who is the writer? We haven't discussed that in detail. And what is the book about? What is the name of the book, or the meaning? And where does the writer, the sheikh, get the knowledge from? That's the summary in al-Muqaddimah, summary of Muqaddimah, inshallah. I'll read the Muqaddimah. So if you have seen the YouTube link, there's a way to read there's it has some example on how to read uh, the text. If anyone have read the text, so inshallah we'll cover today uh, eight eight verses or 8 lines. Five are Muqaddimah. Inshallah, we will start. I'll read the Muqaddimah, and the adab is before we read one text, one book, will only we uh, uh, make a dua for the for the writer, for the teachers, and for all of the chains, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان أعوذ بالسميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد منظومة تحفة الأطفال والغلمان في تجويد القرآن للشيخ سليمان بن حسين بن محمد الجمزوري رحمه الله تعالى نفعنا الله بعلومه وبعلومكم وبعلوم السائرين الصالحين في الدارين آمين. قال النظيم, the writer says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يقول راجي رحمة الغفور دوما سليمان هو الجمزوري الحمد لله مصليا على محمد وآله ومن تلا وبعد هذا النظم للمريد في النون والتنوين والمدود سميته بتحفة الأطفال عن شيخنا المهي ذي الكمال أرجو به أن ينفع الطلاب والأجر والقبول والثواب. So that's the Muqaddimah. And so in terms of Muqaddimah, I have highlighted some important words. So as we mentioned in the beginning of the course, we won't analyze like a per word basis, but we want to get just the summary. What are the key points, the key words? So we can see the keywords. It's first, it starts with Bismillah. It starts with Bismillah, and this is to follow or in accordance to the Quran, authentic Sunnah, that we should have a habit of start anything good with Bismillah, and it also helps us to set our intention, inshallah ta'ala, on what we are about to do is for the sake of Allah, and hopefully will be accepted as good deed and acts of worship. Then Nazim says, يقول الراجي رحمة الغفور دوما سليمان. So Sulaiman is the name. So as you can see, the meaning is says he who constantly seeks the mercy of Al-Ghafur Ar-Rahim. Who is he? And name is Sulaiman. So the name of the writer is Sulaiman, and Huwa Al-Jamzuri, and he is from Al-Jamzuri. He is a Jamzuri, so he's from Jamzur. So if let's say we're born in New Zealand, we can say a New Zealandi, or from Indonesia, Indonesia. So that's like a nisbah, like connection that he wants to nisbah himself, connect himself to Al-Jamzur. So we'll cover what is Al-Jamzur, where is Jamzur. So Sulaiman from Jamzur, and salawat, and then for Rasulullah SAW, Muhammad, and his who follow him. And the next is this nazm or this poem is for students in An-Nuni. As you can see the green, An-Nuni, what Tanwini, wal Mududi. Nun, Tanwin, and Mad. Nun, Tanwin, and Mad. So Nun, Tanwin, and Mad. And we'll cover later what is Nun actually, that we're talking about. What is Nun, what is Tanwin. We're going to cover that, inshallah. and سميته I name it with Tuhfatul Atfal. So Tuhfatul Atfal means like for example the children's gift, like gift for children, gift for children. So yes, it's like the wallahu alam, like the sheikh primary audience was for like for children, but it's applicable for anyone. It could be it, it can mean like the children of tajweed or who is beginner in tajweed. uh, the name is Tuhfatul Atfal. Tuhfa means gift. Atfal, Atfal is children. Tuhfatul Atfal, uh, gift for children or children's gift. From Sheikh Al-Mihi. Sheikh Al-Mihi is Sulaiman's teacher, or Sulaiman teacher. So that's mainly uh, uh, the key points from Muqaddimah, from this five verses. The name of the writer is Sulaiman from Jamzur. Jamzur. The book is about Nun, Nun, Tanween, and Mad. And the name of the book is Tuhfatul Atfal, which he learned, or the knowledge is from Sheikh Al-Mihi. That's pretty much. And lastly, he hope it benefits the students, and he hope for reward and thawab. That's that's the that's the muqaddimah. That's the muqaddimah. And if you, so the full name, like uh, Sulaiman bin Hussein bin Sulaiman bin Hussein bin Muhammad bin Shalabi al-Jamzuri. So Jamzur is a small village in Tonto, or in Egypt. So Tonto, Egypt, is between Cairo and Alexandria. So Cairo is down here, Alexandria is here, and in the middle is Tonto. And there's a small village called Jamzur, and that's where he came from Al Jamzur. Jamzur. The book is about Nun Sakina, Tanween, Nun Sakina, Tanween, and Mad, which was written in 1198 after Hijri, or in century is 1783. So that's about how long ago, approximately? 200 plus, yeah, 240 plus, around that time. Yeah. Oh, there's a question. Okay. How to articulate Sulaiman or read Dauman before Sulaiman? Okay. So this one is Dauman. Dauman means like consistently, like Dauman. I think there's some words with Dauman in Quran. Dauman. So يقول راجي رحمة الغفور دوما دوما سليمان دوما سليمان هو الجمزور دوما. So yeah, maybe just one would like to explain. So one verse, for example, the first one, it looks like it's two parts, like يقول راجي رحمة الغفور دوما سليمان هو الجمزوري, but it actually often that it's like a single full a sentence, like it's connected. So it doesn't mean that it's disconnected in the middle, because sometimes the meaning actually maybe stops on the next word here. So it doesn't. This is how the poem in Arabic works. So basically, the writer try to find a diction of words that uh, uh, that match the formula. Or if you try to learn more about the art in poem in Arabic, there's something called bahar rajaz. Basically, it's like the formula of how to create the poem. Yeah. So yes, dauman is constantly. If you are in the group, there's there's some Tuhfatul Atfal books that translate per like a per word. One word have a translation on each word. In the last previous course, I covered that, but maybe it's too overwhelming to the students. So that's why at this session, just want to cover like the general, what is the gist, what is the summary of the of this of this topic. So Jazakillah khair, Sister Sanabar, for the question. Yeah. Inshallah, we'll continue. So yeah, he's from Jamzur. Uh, the book is about Nun Sakinah, Tanwin, and Mad. So 50% on that, on Nun Sakinah and Tanwin, 50% on Mad. Tuhfat al-Atfal, the children's gift, from Sheikh Al-Mihi, Sheikh Nuruddin Ali bin Omar bin Hamad bin Omar bin Najib bin Fanis Al-Mihi. So that's pretty much the intro, like the Muqaddimah section, the summary of Muqaddimah. Now next, let's go into the actual tajweed rules. Rules of Nun, Sakinah, and Tanwin. So in the last session, we discussed that Tuhfatul Atfal. So the book of Tuhfatul Atfal itself can be divided by two in terms of percentage. The 50% on Nun, Sakinah, and Tanween, and the other 50% are on Mad. And we'll start with the rules of Nun, Sakinah, and Tanween, or in Arabic, Ahkamun Nuni Sakinati wa Tanween. Ahkamun Nuni Sakinati wa Tanween. Ahkam, rules, and Nun, Sakinah. We'll discuss what is Sakinah and what at Tanween and Tanween. So before actually discuss the rules, we should know what is actually Nun, what is Nun, what is Tanween, what's the does the writer trying to explain. So before we discuss the Nun, Sakinah, and Tanween, let's review back what is Nun and what is Harakat. So Nun is the letter, the Nun letter. Basically, it's a Nun that has a written form. So it has that Nun form. Nun. It has a letter, has a written form. That's a Nun letter. And Harakat is movement or motions, move up and down and so on. So movements, as in here is the vowel marks movement of a, u, e. That's the movement. Harakat, most of us probably know, but if not, I'll just quick review. So Fatha is a, Kasrah, e, Dhamma, u. So if Nun with harakat, Nun with Fatha, na, Nun with Kasrah, ni, Nun with Dhamma, nu. And let me just do a little bit about Tahsin. So Kasrah, because we're in New Zealand, most of like Kiwi accent will read Kasrah like, for example, if you want to say fish and chips, you don't read like our brothers in Australia would read fish and chips, but here normally we say fish and chips. But in Quran, in Tajweed, you don't read na, you don't read Bismillah, but you must clear the I or the kasrah. Bismillah. Just a little bit on Tahsin. So yeah, kasrah need to be clear. E, na, ni, nu, ni. Bismillah. So that's Nun. Nun has a written form in harakat, Fathah, Kasrah, Dhamma. So we know what is Nun, what is harakat, and In English, what is the opposite of movements or motions? What would be the opposite of movement? Motions will be like like static, like static or doesn't move. So static or doesn't move is no sakina. So the opposite of harakat is sakina. Sakina is static or peaceful. That's why you want to have a sakina family, a peaceful family. So yeah, that's sakina is the opposite of harakat. Harakat. So nun sakina means nun that has no harakat, or basically nun that has no harakat, and it has a like a diacritical mark. Has a mark. It can be like like the circle, like number 5, or can be like a comma, which actually it's the head of ha ja. That's the head, chop the head, and that's the head of ha or ja. So nun, that's nun sakina. So nun with harakat is the previous slides, naninu, and nun sakina is uh, without the harakat. It's basically it's the un sound, un in un un. That's the nun sakina is the un sound. That's nun sakina, the un sound. So we know nun sakina. Now we move on to tanween. So what's the difference with tanween? So nun sakina, nun is the nun that has the form, the written form, and sakina is without harakat. Now tanween is an extra nun, extra nun sakina, which doesn't have the form, So, but still pronounced. So, for example, if the harakat a I u naninu a I u, if we want to have the an in un sound, we could write something like this: fathah then nun, fathah then nun. But instead of writing that, so the ulama of the Dhabat, they write it as double, like double fathah, double kasrah, double dhamma, which actually reads something like this, an in on, if you can think of. So that's and this 3 is called tanween. So in extra nun sakina, which is like the n sound, so the n sound, but it doesn't have the nun in a written form. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's nun sakina, and this is tanween. Like if we read afwajan, hasidin, ahadun, hasidin idha hasad, and so that's the nun sound is there, but it doesn't have the nun letter in a written form. That's tanween. Okay, so basically the rules of nun sakina and tanween is basically it's the rules of the n sound, but the n sound can be in nun sakina form, or it can be in a tanween form. But yeah, that's the same rules apply. Any questions from before Karen? No? Does that make sense? Does that clear enough? Yeah. Inshallah. Okay. If no question from people in the Zoom, if you have any question, feel free to put on the chat window. Our sisters on upstairs. No questions, then we'll carry on.
Sorry, Pak Bayu, is it the same meaning, sakinah and sukun, right?
Oh yeah. Sukun, sakina, yeah. Sukun or
It's the
sakina,
same, the same.
Yeah, that's a good question, Paifan. Yeah, sakina or sukun, it's the same. So sukun, sakina, it's the same thing basically. Yeah. Sukun, sakina.
Afwan, Ustad Bayu, there's spelling mistake in the Arabic.
This one?
Typo. Watan winin.
Well, oh, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Good spot, Ustad. Inshallah, I'll take a note. I'll revise before sending it out to you. Let me just take a note. Okay. Inshallah, I'll fix that. What can we? Yeah. Typo. Okay. Now let's go into the actual rules. So ahkam an-nun sakinati wa tanwin. The rules, ahkam of a nun sakina, which now we know now what is nun sakina, what tanwin and tanwin. We also know what is tanwin. It's basically the same an sound, but it's different form. A nun with the nun letters and with sukun or sakina, and tanwin is the double kasra, double fatha, double dhamma. So what did Sheikh Sulaiman al-Jamzuri said? قال الناظم للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني. للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني. So the key words are أربع أحكام. أربع أحكام. What is, anyone know it? What is أربعة? أربعة in it's
number, right?
Number. It's the number. It's four. Yeah, it's four. Ahkamin is the rule. So basically, what the writer is trying to say is, for noon, for noon, when in its sukun state, in taskun and sukun state, and for tanween, there are four rules, four ahkam. فَخُذْ تَبْيِينِي, and take my explanation. So this is one of the benefit of knowing or memorizing some tajweed text, like for example Tuhfatul al-Atfal. So if we want to explain something, let's say we want to explain the rules of nun sakinah and tanween, and if anyone asks, maybe have a question, we can answer, oh, there are four rules. How do you know four? Because the reference, or like the so-called dalil, the dalil is from Sheikh Sulaiman. He said there are four rules, arba'u ahkam. There are four rules, and he will explain the four rules in the next verses. But I'm just going to share the globally what are the four rules. Basically, it's al-izhar, idgham, iqlab, and ikhfa. So he will explain later on each verse, like فَالْأَوَّلُ الْإِظْهَارُ, the first one is izhar, وَثَانِي إِدْغَامٌ, the second is idgham, وَثَالِثُ الْإِقْلَابُ, the third one is iqlab, وَالرَّابِعُ الْإِخْفَاءُ, the fourth one is ikhfa. So if you can like memorize, or at least you know there's this text, so you can refer that. You can have a standard when you teach someone, or even for your own learning, you have a standard. There are four rules. The first one is idhar, the second one is idgham, the third one is iqlab, the fourth one is ikhfa. If we don't have like a standard, then if someone asks, let's say, how many rules of nun sakina and tanween, if we don't have any reference, then we would wander around. Oh, maybe I think the first one is izhar, or maybe the second one is ikhfa. Then what's the remaining? We need to think more. But if we know it from a reference, from a text, then it's pretty standard. The first one, this, second, third, fourth, and so on. Yeah, that's one of the benefit of learning with a text, or in this particular session is with the poem, with the Tuhfat al-Atfal poem. So 4 rules, and the first one is al-Izhar. Now we will touch Izhar. So yep. So Izhar. So after that, the next line, line 7. Number 7 is فالأول الإظهار قبل فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. Yes, the first one, فالأول, the first one is al-izhar. The first one is al-izhar قبل أحرف, before the huruf of al-halq. Halq means the throat. Sittun is sitta, oh, 6, yeah. Sitta is 6. رتبت فتعرفي. Arrange in this order, and therefore you know it. The key words are al-izhar, للحلق 6 همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. So the first line, or the line 7, the writer explains the first rule is izhar, where nun sakina or tanween appear before al-halq huruf, like the huruf of al-halq. We're going to touch what are the halq, the throat letters, or the halqi letters. And he explained in the next one, in verse 8, which is the actual huruf, the actual letters, hamza and ha, ain and ha, ghain and kha. So izhar, 6 letters. So Tuhfatul, as we mentioned in the last session, that Tuhfatul al-Atfal doesn't cover makhraj. Makhraj is, what is makhraj? The articulation points, or the exit points. So for example, we're starting from the throat, like this one, throat, ah, aha, aha, lo, kho. That's everything from throat. There's no, you don't need to use your tongue to say all of this 6 letters. You don't really move your lisan or your tongue. But if we move on to the letters on the tongue, for example, sin, slod, so that's on lisan, that's on tongue. If we move on, let's say on a shafatan, or on the lips, like mim, fa, ba, that's on the lips. So that's, as you can see, that those are like 3 big articulation points, 3 big different makhraj. Yeah. Okay. Makhraj, kharaja is exit. Makhraj is the place of the exit, like the exit points. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So makhraj of al-halq is the throat. So the makhraj of al-halq is this 6. Ha, hamza and ha, ain and ha, ghain and kha. So yeah, as you can see, it's hamza, ha and ha, it's on different, like slightly different makhraj. So at least you need to be able to differentiate between ha and ha for in this case, because it's actually quite critical for Suratul Fatiha, for example. Alhamdulillah, there's a ha, there's ha. You need to practice when to to say ha, when to say ha, and you should be able to have to differentiate between them. So that's the six letters of Izhar. That's why it's also called Izhar halqi, because Izhar from the throat. There's some other Izhar, we'll discuss that later, but in this case, normally Izhar means Izhar halqi, which is six letters: Hamzun, Hamzun Fahaun, Thumma Ainun Ha'u, Muhmalatani, Thumma Wainun Kha'u. And just a little bit, Muhmalatan. Muhmalatan means dotless. Dotless. What does it mean by dotless? So dotless means if you can compare Ain and Ha with Wain and Kha, they're actually a same form. The difference is the dot. So Ain and Ha is basically Ghain and Kha without dot or dotless, which is Muhmalatan. So I hope that that clear. So please provide nun sakin pronoun words, for example. Okay, nun sakin. Okay. Uh, so there's a question from Sister Sanobar. Provide nun sakin pronouns words, for example. Inshallah, after this, we will have some examples of how, some words that has Izhar rules with each of these letters, inshallah. So stay tuned. Thanks, sister. And after that topic, if it's still not clear, then you can ask it. Now, Izhar halqi. Just a little bit on the definition. Izhar means to clear, to clarify, clear. Al-bayan wal-idah. Basically, it's to clear, to clarify, as in the non sakinah sound or the an sound is clear, sounds clear. If you want to know the istilah or the definition according to the ulama, إخراج كل حرف من مخرجه من غير غنة. Basically, to bring out every letters from its exit points without ghunna, as in without the it's not like ikhfa or idgham with ghunna, but this one is without ghunna. The sound clear. So let's take a look. So these are the examples. So I'm not too sure what does Sister Sanobar means of example, but hopefully you meant this one. So for example, this one starting from Hamza. From Hamza, nun sakina min ahlil kitab, min ahlil kitab. So as you can see that the nun letters, the nun sakina appears before Hamza, from Hamza. Therefore, the nun sounds or the an sounds should be clear. It's not so you don't read with pause. So some of the mistakes is you read with some pause. For example, with pause would be instead of reading min ahlil kitab, maybe you would read min ahlil kitab, min ahlil kitab. That's a pause. So that's also considered lahan khafi. Min ahlil kitab. It's like a sakat or sakta, basically like a delay. So you don't delay. That's one of the common mistakes. Or another common mistakes will be bouncing the n sound. For example, mina ahlil kitab. Maybe this one normally in Surah al-Fatiha, like the last one, instead of an anta, maybe some people would read with bounce an'amta, an'amta, an'amta. That's a bounce on the noon. You shouldn't bounce the noon, but you should read an'amta, an'amta, not an'amta. That's because uh, uh, you move your tongue too fast when you want to switch from noon to ain. You move too fast, and then there's that sound. There's like a bounce sound, bouncing the noon. So an'amta min ahlil kitab. Or another mistake would be excessive gunnah or to exaggerate it. For example, min ahlil kitab, min ahlil kitab. That's too long, so it should be min ahlil kitab. Um, or another one, uh, like the noon sounds may slightly hidden. So Izhar should be clear, min ahlil kitab. But if you read like a hidden an, for example, min ahlil kitab, min ahlil, the noon is not clear, so it should clear. So maybe that's min ahlil kitab. Maybe brothers here want to try to read one. Just go around, read one by one, inshallah. This one?
No.
Yeah, no.
Kufuwan ahad.
Yeah.
You want to use this one?
No, that's okay. That's okay. So kufuwan ahad. All right, maybe just a little bit on. If you stop there, then there's qalqalah. Yeah, qalqalah. So qalqalah is not covered in Tuhfatul Atfal, but qalqalah is that bound. So instead of ahad, you would read ahad, ahad, same like kitab, not kitab, 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 ahad. So that bounce or qalqalah, kufuwan ahad. Okay, next.
Mahfuz.
Yeah, can read this one.
Radiyallahu anhum.
Once again,
Radiyallahu anhum.
Yeah, radiyallahu anhum, radiyallahu anhum.
Mahmoud. What's the name again?
Salamun hiya hatta.
Salamun hiya hatta. This one. Yeah, an'amta alayhim, an'amta alayhim. So yeah, an'amta alayhim. Just a little bit. All fatha should sound the same, like la, ma. So sometimes we don't if we don't have a constant fatha sound, maybe we read an'amta alayhim. That's a different fatha on hamza, on ain, on lam, but we should have. That's why it's important to do a practice which is called the riyadatul lisan or riyadatul lisan practice. And la, the sounds of fatha. An'amta alayhim. I think this is one of the common mistakes that actually it bounce. You would bounce the noon. An'amta, an'amta. So you should read an'amta, an'amta, an'amta. And last one. Listen.
يومئذ عن النعيم.
يومئذ عن النعيم. So that's the examples of noon sakina and tanween. Tanween of each hamza, ha, ain, and next one ha, ain, kha. So maybe, or maybe in the brothers or sisters want to read in the Zoom? If you want it, it's not a okay. Some thanks. That was okay. Thank you, sister. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. Afwan, I'm late. Afiamanillah, brother Musti in Rotterdam, mashallah. Inshallah. Or maybe brother, just go around here. Okay.
No one who do read.
If anyone wants to read, you can just unmute or put on the chat or raise your hand. But this one is Izhar, so inshallah still easy. But yeah, maybe if no one from on the Zoom, start again from Fadli. From
لربك وانحر
لربك وانحر.
نار حامية.
نار حامية. This one. من غسلين. من غسلين. Okay.
أجر غير ممنون
أجر غير ممنون. Okay.
وأما من خفت.
Yeah. We'll discuss this later, but don't forget to hold like around 2 seconds or 2 haraka 2 seconds. وأما من خفت.
وأما من خفت.
Yeah, خفت. That's also a sifatul hams. So ta has hams. So hams is that sound. It's not ta. It's not khaffat, not khaffat. That's too exaggerate. It's not. It's too excessive. So it's not khaffat, but khaffat. Just the you don't add additional breath. The breath actually starts when you say khaffa. That's the breath. Fat. You don't read additional breath. So if you add additional breath, it will be khaffat. That's like khaffat. That's additional breath. So the breath should be khaffat. And last one is ذرة خيرا. So that's the examples. Just so on every rows, inshallah, will provide this examples, and that's pretty much that we're going to cover. And maybe just to summarize a little bit. There's some. So this is about marks. So marks in Mushaf Medina. So before that, actually Mushaf or Quranic scripts, there are Medina Mushaf, which is on the left one, the green one, Mushaf Medina in Saudi, Mushaf Medina, like this one. And there are Indo-Pak scripts, which maybe our brothers and sisters normally from Southeast Asia, like from India, from Pakistan, even from Indonesia, use this Indo-Pak. This one Medina, and there's another one Maghribi, Bobat. Bobat is like Tashkil. Maybe you won't find this. Maybe this one's not quite popular, but it's called Bobat Maghribi. So in Maghribi, it's actually like the fa and qaf. It's different. Like the fa, it's on the top, and like this one, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قل هو قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس.
The Bismillah is on the first ayah.
Yeah.
It's normal. Not on the Quran.
Yeah. So this but I think normally we would use this too, Madina and Indo-Pak. For every rules, inshallah, I'll try to, for the examples, I would use the Madina, but I'll explain the difference between Madina and Mushaf Madina and the Indo-Pak. So this one in Mushaf Madina, uh, the nun sakina, if it's idhar, it will have that sign, that comma, that sukun mark, like min had. But if it's not idhar, like ikhfa or idgham, it doesn't have that. So as you can see, it's the nun doesn't have that comma, that sukun mark. That means it's not idhar. And for tanween, if it's a straight parallel like this one, عذابا أليما كفار أثيم, the tanween is parallel, straight parallel, but this one shay'in shahid, as you can see, it's not straight, the parallel is not straight. So you can see the top and the bottom one is not straight. And same with the dhammatain, it will have a double dhamma, not like 9, but this one is 9 with a curve, or with like an arc on top of the dhamma. Alimun hakim. But this one, ainun jariyah, it's not ainun jariyah. So actually using the Mushaf Madina, to me, I think most people would find it a bit easier, that you don't really need to memorize the actual letters of ikhfa, idgham, iqlab, idhar, but just by noticing the marks, you would know when to read idhar, when to read with idgham and ikhfa. But if it's on, forgot to show this one, maybe here. So for example, this one, as you can see, number 4, min sharril, that it doesn't, the nun doesn't have that comma, doesn't have that sukun mark, but in Indo-Pak, everything will have. So like min sharril, even that one have a comma. So if we read with the script, then we need to know how to read this one. Or in this day and age, maybe if you can see some Quran with colors to mark those. But with Mushaf Madina, you don't need to use colors. You would, inshallah, you would be able to notice the basic what is it, the basic tajweed. That's okay. Okay, that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. The review of al-mabadi al-ashra, the Muqaddimah, and lastly the rules of nun sakin and tanween. So the 10 al-mabadi al-ashra, tajweed, the benefit, tajweed again, to bring out, to articulate every letter from their proper exit points from the makhraj, giving the sifatul haq, permanent characteristics, and the temporary characteristics, or the sifatul mustahaq. And the benefit is to prevent tongue from mistakes, al-lahan, preserve Quran, attain the rewards, focus, Tuhfat al-Atfal, focus on nun, sakina, mim, sakina, and tanween, which we're just touched today, and mad, that's 50% of the other 50% of the Tuhfatul Atfal is mad. Applying tajweed is an individual obligation. So I think I was explaining last time that in terms of learning tajweed, it's a fardu kifayah, communal obligation, as in to learn all of the details. Like you need to inside out, everything. That's a communal obligation. But when you read the Quran, at least you must learn whatever that you want to read. Like at least you need to know the basic tajweed on what you want to read, and especially on applying tajweed. And that's actually there's in terms of learning, like what do you need to learn is what do you need to prioritize. That's a different topic. That's more like the categorization of what are the ilm, the knowledge that are fardu ain that you need to learn as a Muslim, and and there's the second priority of fardu kifayah and so on. But that's a different topic. Then lastly, makhraj sifat ahkam tajwid riyadatul lisan. That's what's covered or what's being discussed in tajwid. And we discussed the Muqaddimah. I'll just quickly read. So in case you miss that one, قال الناظم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يقول راجي رحمة الغفور دوما سليمان هو الجمزوري الحمد لله مصليا على محمد وآله ومن تلا وبعد هذا النظم للمريد في النون والتنوين والمدود سميته بتحفة الأطفال عن شيخنا المهي ذي الكمال أرجو به أن ينفع الطلاب والأجر والقبول والثواب في أحكام النون ساكنة والتنوين للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبييني فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرفي للحاق ست رتبت فلتعرفي همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. That's what we covered today. And you can, yes, there's some examples that that's okay. And we discussed the Muqaddimah, which is the Muqaddimah covers what's the book about, who is the writer, Sulaiman al-Jamzuri from Jamzur. His teacher is Sheikh Al-Mihi. The book is about Nun Sakinah, Tanwin, and Mad. The first rule that we touch is Izhar. We also discuss what is Nun Sakinah and what is Tanwin. Basically, it's the N sound of in the Nun Sakinah or in Tanwin. So that's pretty much that we want to cover today. Jazakumullah khair. Any question from sister upstairs or anyone on the Zoom? Oh yeah, and actually inshallah we'll draw this now, the book. Maybe let me try to, let's do that now. Okay, inshallah we'll. So no one who. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Inshallah. Well, I'll click.
Oh, I represented
Okay, Joe. This, sorry?
Congratulations.
Inshallah. So brother Andy, inshallah. Inshallah. Uh, but okay, but don't worry if you don't. We actually have the if you have the links to the PDF. There's a supplementary books. So there are some other books. Actually, I think that book is also available here. So yeah, there's some other books here. It's free, but yeah, I know maybe it's more convenient to use the physical book. So, but yeah, there's some other books here that inshallah free that I take from some various in the internet. It's free, inshallah halal, because I checked first before I share here to make sure that it's allowed to share before I share it here. And I think one more, just want to mention that based on the feedback, maybe inshallah later we will review the feedback. I understand that some of you would like some more understanding in the Quran, basic Arabic, and tafsir. So maybe tafsir is a bit heavy, I would say. In Onehunga Masjid, every Monday there's a tafsir. If you want to come there, but for a beginner, I would say normally if we want to read the Quran, we read the translation. Maybe it's a bit hard to us to understand what does it actually mean. So maybe the diction are a bit too hard for us. So what I would recommend, this is what actually recommended by many people in the field of da'wah, in the field of tafsir and so on. As one of them is this, the Quran from Abdul Halim, Hafizahullah, his Hafiz as well. And if you read, you can see 3,000 ratings, and most of them, Muslims, non-Muslims, say this is one of the easiest Quran to read, like the most readable Quran. And I have the PDF, but maybe I can't share this. So it is all in English, but it's using easy English, and it's written in paragraph. So it has a thematic. So you would read like you would read a novel that you can pause between paragraph, as compared to if you read the Quran, you don't know where to start or where to stop. But here he make a paragraph, and one paragraph is one theme. So you at one occasion you can just read one paragraph, and next time you after Salah you would read another paragraph, and it's connected and it's one theme. So it's because one surah can be multiple themes that sometimes it doesn't really make sense because they are disconnected. But reading here is, I would say, it's really recommend to have this one. And maybe because of that, inshallah I'll get this book and maybe get this for and bring it like for do another quiz or survey at the end of this class, and the winner will get this book, inshallah. But yeah, we'll review and we'll let you know. Inshallah, that's pretty much that we. Before we close, anything that any questions? No? 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 I hope that everything is clear to you, makes sense? Good, inshallah. So next time you can do a third course. Next time you can sit here and teach, inshallah. 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 Okay. If there's no question, we'll close, inshallah. May Allah make us amongst the companions of the Quran. May Allah make us the people who read, reflect over, and act upon the Quran. And may Allah grant us a good understanding of the Quran. May He give us a fluent tongue in reciting the Quran, and may Allah make the Quran a witness for us, be an intercessor for us on the day of judgment, and not a witness that against us. Allahumma arhamna bil Quran waj'alil Qur'ana hujjatan lana wa la hujjatan alayna, amin ya rabbal alamin. We'll close with the dua kafaratul majlis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik asyhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Ustaz.
Wa jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Ustaz Bayu.
Wa jazakumullah khair.
Awat lambat.
Enggak usah. Rotor, Pak. Masya Allah. Ini rotor, Pak.